G'day guys, today I'm just going to be mounting a shower awning or an ensuite awning to the opposite side of the car to the 270-degree awning. So this will be going on the right hand side. On top of that, I'm also going to be arranging the MaxTrax mounting. This is the cheapest possible mounting method that I could think of, and it is just a lot simpler and I can sort of move it around a little bit easier as well. So the shower awning I've gone for is Joom 4-wheel drive. So you get this from Anaconda stores. The only reason I went for it is because it's on special. I think most of your shower awnings are much of a muchness. So there's probably about 3 different shower awnings that you can get for that $150, $160 mark. And as far as I'm concerned, they're all kind of similar. This Anaconda one was on special, but with everything from Anaconda, you only buy it when it's on special. When it's on special is its real price. They're all kind of the same. They're all reasonably priced. You're not gonna break the bank by going out and buying one. I'll see how this one goes. It's got the support struts from top to bottom, which should help if this side of the car is the windy side of the car, because I set up with a 270-degree side awning protected by the car. So it is possible that this side will be exposed to the wind a little bit more than the other side. So it's good to have those support poles. I might change one day if the setup gets too tedious and I want a quicker setup one. I might change, but again, $160, can't go wrong. With the MaxTrax, just got our set of 4 MaxTrax mounting pins. From RS Components, just got some straight bracket plates with 2 holes in it. And I'll essentially just be mounting one into a channel nut on the roof bar, and the other one is going to go like that, and the MaxTrax will mount onto that. The reason I'm doing these 2 jobs together is because the distance that I set the roof bars apart for the MaxTrax mount will sort of determine where I mount the shower awning. The shower awning, you can put your brackets in a multitude of different positions. It just has channel on the back of the bracket and you slide your bolts in there. With the MaxTrax, it needs to be spot on. So that distance will be set before I mount the shower awning. So you can see the awning on the far side. I've got 3 roof bars. I can cut up more roof bars. I do have more extrusion if it comes to that. But for now, I'll just stick with the 3 roof bars and I'll see how it works. So what I'm thinking is having the MaxTrax at the front. Reason being is I have these infill panels here that are steps, and that will make it easier to get them off. Shower awning will span somewhere here, and it'll probably overhang roughly the same amount as the awning on the far side. So I can still access the roof through the tow ball hitch and on the back if I need to get up there for any reason. The MaxTrax and the shower awning won't actually get in the way. Now before we get started, I'll just weigh everything. 6.434 in nuts and bolts and washers and channel nuts. Mounting pins, 420 grams. Here I have more channel nuts, more plates, some washers, 3.55. The awning itself, with the brackets and the supply bolts, 6.807. So the only thing that's going to change here is the distance of the middle bar. The front and back bars are set. I can add a 4th bar if I'm not happy with the final result, but for now, I'm going to try it with the 3 bars and we'll just see what it looks like. The MaxTrax pin will fit through here. So I'm going to install these 4 and then I'm going to put them through the one MaxTrax, and then I'll be able to put my channel nuts in here exactly where they should be. Move this to where it needs to go, tighten them, and that is the MaxTrax set. I am facing the forward one out that way and the rear one out that way, so I can keep this as close as possible to the front bar. So originally I was going to have the MaxTrax here with the shower awning towards the back. I've actually changed my mind now. I'm just going to have them both on these front 2 bars, and the reason is that this isn't quite as wide as this opening. Using this plate, I will double up that bolt. That bolt into this uni-strut to the outside of the car will secure both of these brackets. I'll drill that hole out to M8 to suit that. Then I will put this one through here. It'll sit underneath the MaxTrax. That'll be an M6 fitting. So that's how I'm going to run with it for now. So the plan is to have the lung bracket that way, because this is only 20mm, that is 50mm. So I want it to be as close to the ground as possible. There's no point having the bracket that way because I don't need that clearance and it'll just make the shower awning too high. This is the front of the car. This is now the middle bar. Distance between them is set by the MaxTrax mount. So I'll just mount the shower awning, and you can see the issue here. If I tighten that, that would force this outwards and it would actually lose its tension on the bolt. So this needs to go through a washer. From here to the edge is 50 millimeters. I need that 50 millimeters to be greater than the point of the MaxTrax mount to the curve of the MaxTrax so that the MaxTrax don't impede on the bracket. Now I think that is only a 30 mil outward curve, this gap being 50 mil, I should be fine. And the other problem is when it's mounted, does it set up properly over the canopy door? Canopy door does angle out. Will I then have to move it further out using some of these other holes? So that's where we sit. I'm going to use these two holes to start. I'll set up the shower awning. If it works perfectly, then I'll disassemble this. I'll make a cut just below there because that's just wasted steel. So for now, I'm just going to bolt everything up, see if it works, and then we'll come back to it. So this shower awning is really lightweight. It would be fine just with the M8s, and I could cut the plate off there. I'll save even more weight, but we'll start like this and then we'll work our way backwards from there. So I guess the first step is making sure that these will sit on. So they do sit on. I'll put the awning on, and then I'll put all 4 of these on to make sure that they still lock and that the awning T-bolts coming into here don't impede on the MaxTrax going on. So as for the awning itself, we have T-bolts, square head. Center of the awning is a place to slide them in. With heavier awnings, you would fit the brackets to the awning, and then you would mount the bracket to the bars. Because this is lighter weight, I can actually afford to just slide these through and hold it, and then get the nuts started. So there are washers to go on this. I just want to get it started. Now when you have them all started, you can move the awning around depending on where you want it. So if we move it back a bit in line with the canopy, that means you can still open the car doors. If you move it forward, you might be blocking one of the car doors, but you're pushing all the weight forward, which can sometimes be a benefit. Because this is only 6 or 7 kilos and we've mounted it across the 2 front bars, I'm not too worried about weight distribution. I'll just make it sort of central in line with the front of the canopy so that I can still get in the car doors if this was set up. Here we have the view from the top. The 4 MaxTrax do fit with the pins. Under here we have our brackets with the M6 through the square washer, as well as the drilled out M8 hole up the front. That is excess length of plate there I can chop. So it does work, they do lock in. These T-bolts currently do not impede on the MaxTrax, which is good. So what I was talking about before, having it in line with the cab, just means that if the shower tent was set up, I could still open this door and get stuff from inside the car without having to move the shower tent out of the way. One potential issue, this actually dangles a lot. It's not really an issue. Canopy door does hit it, but it's just dead weight. It's not actually bending anything. It's just trying to lift itself up. But that's how it sits at the moment. Now I'm going to set the shower awning up just to make sure that it being mounted there is not an issue as the canopy tapers out, and that I can still set it up properly. Otherwise, I will need to move that bracket out to give the shower awning more clearance to get over the canopy taper. So I don't need to set everything else up, really. This is long enough. This here isn't really going to impede at all, so I'm pretty happy with that. I can pack this up. I will take this out, remount it. I'll probably get rid of the 6mm because it's kind of just unnecessary because this doesn't weigh a lot. I think one M8 will be fine to hold this. So after having a look at everything, I've decided that I'm just going to cut these brackets shorter. So we'll have one mounting hole into the channel nut, which will be the shared plate with the MaxTrax fittings. Now this awning only weighs 6 kilos. There's no need for the 2 mounting points, and I could possibly find a use for this bracket down the track somewhere. I'm going to keep it mounted at the height it was. It technically kind of impeded on the canopy door, but it's just kind of a loose dead weight that hits the canopy door. It's not actually part of the frame or anything, so all I need to do is sort of lift that up. I'm going to go for the lower profile mount because I put bigger tyres on and I still got to add a 2-inch lift. I'd rather it was a little bit lower, keeps the profile of the car a little bit lower, hopefully better wind resistance and stuff like that. It's going to be marginal differences, but it all adds up. So I'm going to go through these with a hacksaw Jim Duggan, hopefully get a nice straight cut, because I'm going through the effort of cutting these, I am going to paint it, and I'll paint the hole that I drilled as well, just to stop any rust and make it look a little bit neater, even though it will be hidden underneath the MaxTrax. May as well do a proper job of it. So I saved the weight of that bracket offcut. Don't need these square washers, I don't need the M6 channel nuts and bolts, so it's a little bit less complicated. And the other thing I'm doing, now that these 3 roof bars have the set length, I'll go through all the old bolts and just adding Loctite 243, which is medium strength, just for anti-vibration purposes. So hopefully things don't rattle loose. Obviously you still got to check your nuts and bolts every now and then, but this is just a little bit of an extra safety factor. So I won't bore you with the details. I'll show you what it looks like once I've cut these, mounted and painted everything. So for those wondering how much weight I saved by not using the bracket and the second square washers, etc. 525 grams, so that's half a kilo saved, which might seem insignificant, but that's an extra half kilo of immigrant that I can smuggle across the border now without going over GVM. So in nuts and bolts we've added 0.184 kilos. With the plates we added 0.470 kilos. With the awning mounts and the channel closure we've taken off, that added 6.415 for a total weight of 7.489 kilograms added to the car. I'm not adding this to the total, but just out of interest, here's your MaxTrax weights for 4 MaxTrax with the lanyards. So that works out pretty good. The MaxTrax actually sit right at the right height, even with that shower awning bracket through there. They sit at the perfect height to still be able to clip and lock the MaxTrax. Alright, there we have it. We've got some MaxTrax mounting. It's a nice low mounting point. It probably costs less than $20. The plates were only about $14. Add a few channel nuts and bolts and washers in there, and I'll put the numbers up on the screen. If you have crossbars or extrusion, then you can do this mounting system as well. I've gone through and put Loctite on all the bolts and channel nuts just to stop vibration, loosening any of those bolts. Shower awning, pretty happy with that actually. It's not too bad, not too hard to set up. Decent amount of space inside. You can put the roof on, you can leave it off. You get a bit of flexibility there if you prefer the open air. A nice low profile, gone with the lowest mounting option for the shower awning. And the MaxTrax are essentially just sitting on those roof bars. Easy to reach. The two work well together. The weight counterbalances the other side of the car, which will be the heavier side of the car once I mount fridges and compressors and drawers and stuff like that. The left hand side does get a bit of weight to it, so it's good to sort of counterbalance that a little bit. The weights, they do all add up. For the purpose of the car weights in the end screen here, we're not including the weights of the MaxTrax. That's more of a trip specific weight, something that gets added for a trip. It's not fixed to the car. I don't drive around with the MaxTrax in day-to-day driving, so I'm not going to add that weight to the end screen. In saying that, let's have a look at the final costs and weights of the car. That's all I really wanted to see. This is great because now I can take a dump in my garage with the door open and nobody can see me. So I won't bore you with the